Right, so for all you are willing to hang around, I couldn't fully empty this bin into that one because it became too full. So I've got a little bit of last week's material in the bottom of this one, which is, I think there was a celtis tree, a weed tree here, which I cut down and run through my little mulcher and through in here, a little bit of bamboo and some other stuff. That's about it. It's only about that deep in the bottom. But what I need to do now, like I said with this one, is I just got to cut up this ginger, put it in, and that's just to make it a bit bulky and so as I can hold more air in at the bottom of the compost bin. I think it helps. I really don't know. It's just a feeling, a sense of how things work. And I cut it up in 4 to 6 inch chunks. The leafy bits pretty much go in whole. As you can see, it's not a proper ginger, it's only an ornamental ginger. Only an ornamental ginger. That's your brown stuff, that's your carbon. Green stuff, that's your nitrogen. As you can see, there's always way more nitrogen than there'll ever be carbon. So I don't worry about it. It can get smelly at times though. But keep throwing air into it and it'll come good. Can't find the hose. Watering, I don't think watering is something you can teach. It's just something you learn by experience, by having a go and realising how much you put in, the results you got, whether you need more next time or less. The drier your materials, obviously the more water you need. The greener your materials, the less water you need. But again, trial and error. You can't stuff it up. You can't stuff up compost. You can't get it wrong. If it goes too wet, pull it out. Even if you just leave it on the ground and dry it for a day and put it back in. Simple. It's not worth the stress. Having said that, I did used to stress a lot about it, but that's another story. Right, pretty good. I'll put a half a bag of this stable manure on that because it's fairly dense and it will push it down a little bit. And stable manure, believe it or not, really does fire up your compost system. These G'day bins are not exactly a hot compost bin system, but you can generate a reasonable amount of heat if you keep working them and get the right materials in them. Woohoo! A lot of sawdust in that, it's good. Animal manures are generally a fairly high source of nitrogen. So stable manure that's full of straw and sawdust in this case, it's pretty good. It's a nice little balance. It's almost its own little compost pile ready to go. So these are just prunings from my garden at work at Glenvale Villas. They'd only go in the rubbish bin out there, so I take my big wool bale out and fill it up and bring it home. Waste not, want not, as they say. And I always wonder, because this stuff at work, at the work garden, I really do pour a fair bit of fertiliser into it, a lot of liquid fertiliser, along the lines of power feed. Also use a lot of rooster booster. So I figure these plants have got to be fairly full and juicy, full of like nutrients and minerals and all that sort of stuff, because I've been put so much on it. It's got to be good. It's a shame to throw it away. So apart from the 70 metres from the bloody front of the house to the back of the house, it's worth it. And on Friday afternoon, it works up a good thirst. Not that I need much of an excuse to have a beer. This has been sitting in the bag, so I still need to open it up and air it out. So I think air is the most important thing you really need to worry about with a compost system of any kind. Unless you're doing like a bin that sits in the corner and you just add to it. And after every 12 months you come along and empty it out and away you go. But I need more compost and I need it quicklier. Geraniums, oh I better get some more. I'll get the rest of that Ryobi box in there. I don't care about glossy cardboard, it all breaks down. wish there was an easier way to do this. It's a bit of a pain. Oh. Sardine. All goes in. Another thing which I'm going to have to mention in a main video, possibly the next one, is you hear a lot about lasagna or layering compost. I don't bother with that. I've never needed to. It's by the time it gets to the last bin up there, it's as good to go as any other way. So I do mini layers. So if I've got dry stuff and green stuff, I'll do a little layer of dry stuff, a little layer of green stuff, a little layer of horse manure, a little more green stuff, and a bit more cardboard. So that look mini layers, but I don't set out to strictly follow any sort of a lasagna type setup. It's just get it in there, get it cooking. This one here, these two, I expect them to be at least down to here. I should be able to pull most of what's in here and put it on top of this one. And then this one will break down again before it goes into there. It takes a lot of... I watched a video yesterday, I think, and a bloke had a little pile of leaves like this, and then he had a little pile of compost, and he said, how do you turn this into this? Oh, I just had to laugh at him. I thought, you would need 4 binfuls of this to make the little pile of compost he had. So I kind of felt it was fairly misleading. It takes a lot of material to make not much compost, which is kind of good because we do get a lot of waste. So, but to portray it as simply turning green stuff into compost without reducing the size, I find it rather funny, humorous. All right, I've just got a bit of dry stuff here I'll throw on top of that, and we will be good. I do tend to put dry stuff on last, because with these bins, the moisture tends to rise up and hit the lid and fall back down. So I figure that's a good way of making sure I get a decent moisture in the dry stuff. There you go. If enough people, if you're still here, and I tell you what, if you are, you're doing well. If I get enough interest in this long form video, I've got, it's 1, 2, 3, I've got the 4th and the 5th bin that have to be mixed and put into the 6th bin, because I'm going to need to push these guys along. So those, my 6th bin is empty, and I need to put 4th bin in, as much of the 4th bin as I can into the 5th bin, and then all of that 5th bin will go into the 6th bin before it goes into the storage bin. Follow that? Anyhow, if there's enough interest, I'll do a long form of that as well. Like I said, if you're still here, well done. But leave a comment. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I suppose that's what you do. Let me know what you think. Also, any questions you've got. I do need a lid. There it is. Stop looking. That's it. Job done. 2 full bins. Good fun. I quite enjoy, I really do enjoy making compost. It's fulfilling, I guess. So there you go. Cheers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week, maybe.